All right, then. So thank you very much once again for taking the time to join us today. And as we are exploring the future of the recruitment from South Korea, I do believe that everybody of now has noticed that South Korea as a market is really in the market in transition, and one that remains really highly relevant, yet also evolving in terms of the student expectations, global competition, and also its own ambitions as a study destination. And it also continues to be kind of firmly on the radar of many institutions. So Korean students are now widely recognized for their strong academic preparation, really clear study goals, and high visa success rates. And at the same time, we see it in a declining university age population combined with a strong domestic education system, which is also shaping outbound demand. But we also see a growing interest in alternative study destinations such Germany. My name is Verkinova. I'm head of international education at BONARD, and I will be guiding you through today's webinar. So I'm also really pleased to be joined by my colleague Daria Simonova, who is international education senior consultant at BONARD, and who will also shortly present the latest data and the trends on South Korea. But before we begin, I would like to provide you like really brief introduction of BONARD for those who might not be familiar with our company. We are independent market research and intelligence strategic advisory firm specializing in field of international education for 18 years. We work closely with governments, institutions, investors, also providing data-driven insights into the student mobility trends, market dynamics, and recruitment strategies. And today, our agenda will be structured into main parts. So we will begin with a data presentation where we will explore outbound mobility trends across higher education, K-12, and also English language training, as well as our latest insights on student visa issuances through the BONARD education platform. And following that, we will also move into the panel discussion focused on emerging trends in South Korea, including student preferences, decision-making, and destination choices, as well as what this means looking ahead to 2026 and beyond. Of course, we'll also have a live Q&A session, so please feel free to submit your questions in chat at any time. We'll be monitoring them throughout the session, some of them answering also in written. The recording and the slide will be, of course, shared after the session, and you are also very welcome to connect with us afterwards for any follow-up discussions or questions or query you might have. And with that, I would like to hand over to Daria. So, Daria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. And hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today's session. Let me very briefly introduce myself. My name is Daria, and I'm a senior consultant at BONARD, researcher and analyst with over a decade of experience in the field. I would like to start our session with a brief overview of South Korea's current position in the global education sector, highlighting some of the key trends shaping student demand, and of course, all will be backed up with the most relevant data. This background understanding of South Korea's current position will serve as a strong foundation for our further panel discussion. So, South Korea has established itself as one of the most competitive and high-performing education systems in the world. This is driven by a highly structured and rigorous academic environment, strong integration of technology into education process, and well-established partnerships between universities and industries. All these factors together with balanced government strategy position South Korea as a unique player in the global education sector, both as a strong regional educational hub and also as a country with a steady demand for studying abroad. And those abroad degrees are often linked to a stronger employability outcomes for Korean students. In recent years, amid declining youth population, the government has successfully implemented an internationalization strategy within the existing education system. This has led to nearly 177,000 international inbound degree students. making South Korea one of the fastest growing study destinations in 2025, with a notable inflows from markets like China, Vietnam, Uzbekistan, Nepal, and Mongolia. For Vietnam specifically, the inflow in 2025 was significant, and it was driven by Korean language programs that has been actively developed in country. At the same time, South Korean students continue to benefit from access to globally recognized and prestigious degrees abroad, which enhance their career prospects. Around 126,000 outbound students from South Korea were recorded in the 2024-25, placing the country among the top globally in terms of student mobility. Overall, this reflects a well-balanced and strategic approach to education, where national priorities are well combined with active global engagement. With that in mind, let's explore outbound mobility trends among South Korean students in more detail. At BONARD, we track enrollment data for more than 20 destinations, including Big Four key educational hubs across Europe and Asia. Looking at enrollments across different study levels, we see that higher education enrollments remain the largest segment for outbound Korean students, with a fairly stable volume of 102,000-3,000 students in recent years. This is still below pre-pandemic levels and reflects ongoing demographic shift. English language training program, particularly academic English and pathway programs, have shown steady demand as well, with around 13,000 enrollments annually over the past few years. K-12 sector also demonstrates stable enrollments, maintaining roughly 10,000 students annually. I guess the most important takeaway from this slide for us today is that even during turbulent times for the global education sector, South Korean students' dedication to high quality and internationally recognized programs remains unchanged. When it comes to destinations, there isn't a single clear winner for Korean students' attention. Even where some countries have long-term dominance within specific study level, we observe shifts in preferences over time. For higher education, United States maintains its leading position with over 42,000 students enrolled in 2024-25. This represents more than 40% of all outbound higher education students from Korea. US programs and degrees in IT and business remain particularly attractive to Korean families. However, changing perception around safety and cost could influence future decisions. Japan and Australia follow, each accommodating around 13-14% of all outbound higher education students. While enrollments to Japan have remained stable at around 14,000 students since 2019, Australia has experienced a declining trend, moving destination to a third position. New Zealand, on the other hand, is a destination with growing appeal. We see that numbers of student population almost doubled since 2018. And in 24-25, it was reported 3,500 Korean students enrolled into New Zealand education system. Looking at English language training programs, US and UK remain top two destinations, with a very narrow difference in enrollments in 24-25, at a level of around 3,500-4,000 students. Australia follows with around 3,000 students enrolled into English language programs. Together, these three top destinations account for almost 80% of all Korean ELT students. in 2024-25. For K-12 mobility, Canada leads globally and reportedly hosted around 4,300 Korean students in 2024-25, representing around 42% of all Korean students at the school level. Looking more closely at demand across higher education study levels in the Big Four destinations, we can identify several key trends. First, demand for graduate programs remains relatively stable, with overall enrollment about 18,500 students. Both US and UK continue to attract a significant share of Korean graduate students. Secondly, undergraduate enrollments remain high compared to other study levels, reaching 27,000 in 2024-25. This still represents a 22% decline since 2019, particularly in the US. And vocational degree enrollments, they have seen an even more pronounced decline of 35%, primarily due to declines in Australia and Canada. Current breakdown of study levels underscores us an opportunity for institutions to meet the specific needs and preferences of Korean students, offering a range of academic programs and degrees. And finally, let's look at the 2025 student intake cycle amid ongoing global sector changes and regulatory shifts, and how it is affecting South Korean student mobility. So student visa data shows stable year-on-year trends for Australia, Canada, UK, and New Zealand, which each destination granting between 2,500 to 4,000 study visas annually. United States, however, is the only destination where commencements for South Korean students are expected to decline significantly in 2025, continuing a downward trend already observed in 2023-24. This is largely driven by uncertainty faced by families under current administration policies, which has led many to reconsider their options, explore alternative destinations, or postpone a decision. For other Big Four destinations, the sentiment among Korean families stays on a more positive side, with students generally feeling more welcomed. A good way to see this is through the visa grant rates. So South Korean students consistently enjoy very high approval rates across the years, reflecting their strong academic profiles and focus on excellence. For example, while the average visa grant rate in Canada was around 65% in 2025, South Korean study permits were approved in 94 out of 100 cases. Given all the data and market trends, we continue to see a strong demand among Korean students for prestigious and internationally recognized degrees that enhance career prospects. Preferred academic programs become increasingly linked to high-demand fields in fast-growing industries, for example, AI and bioengineering. At the same time, the evolving global education landscape is intensifying competition for talented students, who now have more options and learning formats than ever before. In this environment, building awareness, meeting expectations with the right programs, and adjusting recruitment strategies are essential for institutions. With that, I will conclude our brief market overview and pass microphone to Sarah to invite our panelists and open the discussion.
Thank you very much, Daria. This was a really insightful overview. I also hope that it's provided a helpful foundation for the discussion ahead, particularly in understanding both the scale and the nuance of the outbound mobility from South Korea. But now it gives me a great pleasure to introduce our panelists. So firstly, I would like to welcome Mark Bentley. He has over 15 years of the experience in international student recruitment and also global engagement within the higher education. He also previously led international recruitment at the University of East Anglia, including responsibility for the South Korean market, and also founded an Bentley Global Study Consultancy, where he also advised prospective students applying to UK universities. So at the same time, more recently, he has returned to UEA in a strategic role focused on civic engagement. So Mark, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Likewise. And we are also joined by Mr. Kyuseok Kim, a director of IES Abroso. Kim oversees the center's academic and operational strategy while also working with both international students and Korean partner institutions. He also gives, and this gives him also a unique, a practical perspective on South Korea's role within global student mobility, not only as a source market, but also increasingly as a study destination. So a very well welcome to you, KS, as well. Thank you very much for joining. If we can just directly perhaps start, since we have talked about how South Korea is evolving externally, I would like to start a little bit more looking into broader global context. And my question would be, how are the traditional destinations performing compared to emerging alternatives from your point of view? I believe this is a quite trending question, since we of course see the changes in the impact of the government decisions, new administration. So how have Korean students and parents responded to a recent visa policy changing in destinations such Canada, Australia, and the US? And if perhaps we can start with you, with UK, as that would be great.